Hey, in this video, I'm going to quickly talk about why in relationships sometimes it might look like our partner just hates us. For example, if we're saying something or going on and on about something, or if we're doing something like making noise while we chew, and we look at our partner, they say something, and it becomes immediately obvious that they're very angry, very upset, very irritated, very bothered. You may have experienced this the other way around, meaning that when your partner is doing something like chewing loudly, or maybe you notice that they left a mess in the corner of the room, or anything like that, or maybe in a social situation because of the way in which they're behaving, you feel like, oh, it doesn't match something. And you might feel these intense emotions, maybe even this repulsion. And feeling that doesn't feel good, nor does someone feeling that about us. And of course, such a situation can be really triggering to us. It can feel really unsafe. It can feel like, maybe this person doesn't love me. Or it can feel like, maybe I don't love this person. Or maybe we feel like we do love this person, and yet we still don't understand why we feel these very strong feelings of aversion and repulsion. And first, let me say that these feelings of repulsion, of aversion, of anger, of even apparent hatred, they're not bad, they're not problematic, unless we treat them as such. If we look at them and we say, oh my gosh, this is a huge problem, and it means I don't love them, or it means they don't love me, then obviously that's going to lead to issues. And it could lead to the relationship coming to an end, and even though that was a great relationship for us. And that could lead to a lot of feelings of guilt and remorse down the road when we think, oh, maybe I should have stuck it out with this person. Or if you do get back together, it can sort of create a lot of stored pain in the relationship bucket, which is basically our recordings of all the times in our relationship where we experienced pain. And we carry that bucket with us. We carry those recordings, those memories with us. And whenever we get into conflict, it comes up. So the less we can put in that bucket, the more we can work through conflict and resolve it, the better. And obviously these experiences of hatred or deep aversion or repulsion are very good ones to address because the emotions are so strong. And the stronger those emotions are, the more space they take up in that bucket, and the more they can lead to the bucket overfilling sooner rather than later. And so we want to address that. So why do we in relationships feel those really strong, intense, negative emotions? And to answer that question, and by the way, understanding that is really important because when we understand it, we can be empowered to deal with it. And also we can realize that all the negative things that we were projecting, that, oh, this person is not safe for us, that this person could leave us at any time, that this person doesn't love us or care for us, we can let those go because we realize that, wait a minute, that's not what's going on. So, those feelings of anger, of aversion, of repulsion, they don't come up because of what's really going on in the moment. They come up because of what the person is projecting and interpreting onto the moment. And that's something entirely different. Now, all projections and interpretations, they come from the past, meaning that whatever we're projecting is coming from our memories, from our database. And whatever we're interpreting through the lens of those projections is then a result of those prior memories. So we're literally looking at current events, interpreting things through the lens of our past experiences. So why would someone get so angry or so frustrated or so repulsed by something that we did? Or why would we feel that way towards someone else when it's something as small as chewing with their mouth open, or making a lot of noise while chewing, or leaving a bit of a mess in the corner of the room, or acting a certain way in public? Why can that sometimes bring up such strong feelings? Or maybe talking too loud. why do those strong feelings come up like that? And why do they come up so intensely? Well, obviously we're not really just reacting to them talking a little bit too loud or them chewing with their mouth open or whatever it is that is the peeve in your relationship, or the peeves, plural. Because if it was just that, we wouldn't get so upset. We wouldn't have that intensity of emotion. So there must be something more. There must be something else going on. So what could that be? Well, if our projections and interpretations, which fuel our emotional process, right? We're not reacting to reality in our emotions. We're reacting to reality with our projections and interpretations layered on top of reality. So truly, it's our projections and interpretations that we're reacting to. And those are coming from the past. And so that means that if someone is feeling intense anger or judgment or aversion or repulsion towards something in the present moment, it's because sometime in the past, they've recorded some deep pain that they are now associating with this experience. So, for example, let's say that in the past, it was unsafe, it felt unsafe for them to talk and talk and talk about themselves or to be joyful because they lived with a parent who was either depressed or stressed or angry, and whenever they as a child were happy and talkative and talking about themselves and carefree, that stressed, depressed, or angry parent would shut them down in a way, and therefore cause them to feel, in a way, trigger them into feeling abandoned, and trigger them into feeling hurt, and trigger them into feeling like, oh my gosh, it's unsafe for me to be happy and to be carefree around this person. Now, that might happen because people who are depressed and stressed or angry, they don't really resonate with people who are being happy and carefree, and so sometimes that energy of other people who are happy and carefree can really trigger people who are stressed, depressed, or angry. And it can cause people who are stressed, depressed, or angry, even if they're the parents of these happy, carefree children, to sort of get upset. They can feel subconsciously, not on purpose, not consciously, just subconsciously, that it's not right, it's not fair that they feel happy and carefree and I don't. And they can even feel like it's necessary for them to feel stressed, depressed, or angry in order to maintain the family, to protect the family, and things like that. And so they might literally shut down in judgmental and angry ways the ways of happy and carefree children, and those children can record those experiences, and they can record them with a lot of stored emotional pain. Children can feel very hurt by this experience. And so then when those children grow up and they experience someone else being happy, carefree, they remember that, hey, that's not safe. and all of those pains that they felt as a child, especially if it happened many times, which it often does in families, all of that pain from their childhood will come up, and it'll be projected onto the partner who is being happy and carefree, and just like their parent did to them, they will then do to their partner, meaning that they will shut down their partner, they will judge their partner, they will have these feelings of anger and hatred and repulsion that they don't understand, and they will say something judgmental or rude or send negative energy to the partner that the partner then feels, and then the cycle repeats, because then the partner feels like, why are they being so angry at me? I'm just being happy. Is it not okay for me to be happy in this relationship? Does this person not want me to be happy? Is this not the right relationship for me? When truly all that's going on is that the relationship is acting as a vehicle for that person to transcend those childhood traumas. And they are little mini traumas, and I don't recommend looking at the word trauma as a bad thing. We could simply look at it as stored pain. And as that stored pain gets released, everybody has less conflict and feels better. So that's one example. Here's another example. Let's say instead of being happy and carefree, the parent might shut down the child for either chewing loudly or chewing with their mouth open. Maybe a parent was very, or a guardian was very serious about table manners. Maybe they felt like, oh, having table manners is very, very important, and it's important to eat properly. And so maybe they were raised, by the way, that parent was raised under the same environment and was punished when they weren't operating with the best table manners. And so then, when their child starts eating with poor table manners or chewing loudly, the parent snaps on them, they punish them, they judge them, and the child feels emotionally abandoned. And that's very painful for a child. I can't stress enough how painful that is for a child. And we carry these feelings with us even though we might not feel them in our adult life consciously, subconsciously. They're playing a role in whenever we lose our temper, whenever we judge people, whenever we get angry, whenever we get depressed. And there's a reason why we feel those emotions. They're coming from somewhere. And truly, it's stored pain in our systems, a lot of it coming from childhood, and even some of it coming from past lives, if you believe in that kind of stuff. So, if there's one takeaway from this, it's that just because our partner feels something and it's very strong and it might be very negative, doesn't mean that that thing that they feel is true. It doesn't mean that it needs to be a problem, and it doesn't mean that they can't work through it with the proper information, guidance, and help. In order to work through these deep-seated issues, usually facilitation, meaning working with someone, is required. Someone who understands these issues, someone who's not going to look at these issues and say, oh, your partner is bad and wrong for reacting to you that way. Because if we judge back, if we judge judgment, how can we release it? And if you, as the partner who maybe feels victimized by their behavior or their judgments, can understand that everyone has stored pain and trauma, and that sometimes you might react from that. And truly, any time that we ever get angry or frustrated, and everybody does, or judge, that's actually not because of the present moment. It's because of past pain and trauma that we're projecting onto the present moment and interpreting the present moment through. And then we're reacting to that interpretation, and then we're feeling these feelings, and oftentimes we're assuming that these feelings that we feel are true. And truly, just because we feel something doesn't mean it's true. Oftentimes, we feel things one day, and then the next day we don't feel them at all. Many times when people are in a relationship with someone and they go on a first date, they might feel certain feelings, and then the next day, those feelings are gone, or the next year, or the next year. And that can often be a good thing, meaning that sometimes they feel feelings like, oh, I don't know if I should be with this person, and then over time they develop a deep, deep love. Your capacity to, and your partner's capacity to release the feelings, the negative feelings that they feel, is great. There's a great capacity to do that once you can start to gain the self-awareness required to map out those feelings, understand where they're coming from, and then release them with certain techniques that exist, that are available to release those feelings. Once you start to play a conscious part in your process of life and of how you feel and of how you think, and you start to understand those things and peel back the layers, you can really start to create the life experiences that you seek and that you want. And unfortunately, and oftentimes people will, instead of looking within to achieve those changes, they will sort of look without or outside, and they'll say, oh, well, I feel this way because of the person I'm in a relationship with. And so then they'll move on to another relationship only to feel those same feelings again on the inside. And then they might move on to another relationship, and so on and so forth. And this is, you can see this with the high divorce rates that we have today. So, truly, it is safe to forgive your partner if you've been on the receiving end of this shame, of this judgment and shaming even, and anger and repulsion. And it is okay to forgive yourself if you've done it, because our relationships do become the sort of stage where we play these things out, and it's so important to develop tolerance to these things in our relationship. And over time, that tolerance can lead to, whenever these things come up, to it not being such a big deal. Meaning someone can bring such a thing up, meaning it can bubble up, they can get reactive, they can start judging, they can get hateful, or they can get repulsed towards us, the other partner, and we can just say, oh, there's her doing what she does. I love her so much, that's okay. She'll work through this, we'll work through this, and I'll be patient, and I'll let her judge and blame and say these things and get it out and express it, because expressing it really helps. And I know that we'll work through it. And whatever names she calls me, whatever things she projects onto me, it's okay. I'm going to let it happen. I'm going to forgive her as it happens. And when she calms down later, maybe we can talk about it in a really loving and open way. And if there's room for that. And if there's not room for that, that's okay too. I'm sure that just by, and this is true, just by being loving and open and forgiving and understanding when people are expressing their judgments and anger and negative emotions, we actually give them an opportunity to release them. Because the act of expression, it is a process of release, and it's also a process of mirroring. If we are patient and loving and understanding, it's like they're basically looking at themselves in a mirror, and they're able to start learning from that experience. They're able to see their judgments, because we're not responding with judgment or reacting with judgment. When we react with judgment and anger to their judgment and anger, we take that mirror and we smear paint all over it, so that then neither of us can really see each other or learn from the experience. And so the sooner we start to be forgiving, the sooner we start to deprioritize our fear reactions when people judge us, the sooner that we can all start to grow and learn together. And that's important, because every single instance of conflict in your relationship and in any relationship that you forgive and that you work towards resolution courageously, every piece, it has ripple effects across the entire planet and the entire future of the planet. And so that means everyone's lives. And that's really important. And it also has ripple effects across your soul and all of your future lives. And that's important. Now, I hope this is helpful. Truly, if you have questions, please let us know. Please contact us. You can visit our website at dexterandalessandrina.com. The website URL is in the comments section or the description below the video. We offer spiritual counseling where we help people through these sort of things. We also offer past life regression sessions and Reiki trainings and all sorts of stuff. I would love to hear from you in the comments section, and I hope that this was helpful and that you have a great day.